Hi everyone, welcome back. So today was all about the jobs, right? So the jobs report came out today, this morning, and after that everything kind of went south for us, right? Bitcoin was down, Ethereum was down, markets were down, everything was down pretty much. Everything was in the red when we look at it. We were all in the red. So we'll talk about obviously what happened there. We'll take a look at obviously how the miners did, Bitcoin did as well. Then we'll also take a look at some good news stories that we have here for IREN, some other things as well. We'll also take a look at our institutions still buying into these guys here. We'll look at the 1 month difference from last month to now. Did we see an increase in shares being bought by the miners or by the institutions, or did they decrease there? And we'll also take a look at obviously the 6 months from there, right? So a little bit longer time frame as well. And then we'll get into Q&A here, and should be pretty short and sweet. Let's get into it though, but we got to go through this. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research as always. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out as well. All right, here we go. So Bitcoin today. Obviously the jobs report came out this morning. Things started to go south for us here. Bitcoin was down 2.59%. It was down almost like 4% at one point, then it kind of bounced back up, which was kind of nice here. We're still obviously way under from where we probably should be right now. So we're kind of in no man's land. So obviously the jobs report that came out was a sign to the market that possibly we're not going to get the rate cuts that we were hoping for, and that's why the market reacted the way it did. So yeah, everything was down today. Markets, like I said, were down just a little bit. I mean, Dow Jones is still pretty close to its all-time high there. NASDAQ was also down a little bit today. S&P was down just a little bit. Russell was down about 0.5% there, but definitely bounced back off the lows a little bit today. Ethereum was also down today. Let's see how much that one was down today. That one was down 4.07%. All the miners here were down. Nothing was out of ordinary here where somebody got slammed more than another company. They were all down about 1%, 2%, 4% at most. Here looks like almost 5% for Cipher and for Kango there. Everybody else was even under 1%, so it wasn't that bad, all things considered. The Bitcoin Treasury companies here got to be down a little bit more. MicroStrategy was down 5%. Block was down 6%. Metaplan was down 6% as well. Phoenix was down another 9% there. We got small miners here. Those got hit a little bit harder. We got Any being down 14%, Argo being down 13%. Others were down 6, 4, 7, and less than 1%. Bitcoin miner ETFs here were down pretty much on par with Bitcoin. They were down 2.6, 2%, 3%, 2.3%. So it wasn't all that bad there. And then the Ethereum holding companies here, only one that stood out was actually BitDigital was up 1.72%, and then BTCS got beat up, was down 8.28% there. Other companies that we track here, American Bitcoin was down 4, Wi-Fi was down 2.8 roughly. Open was actually up 1.49. We had a couple companies that were actually up. This one's bouncing off the 200 SMA maybe. We'll see if we can hold it. Oracle was down. Nibius was down also 3.4. Soluna was down 5.5. Bakkt was down 2%. And ASST was down quite a bit today again. It was down 11.87%. Not sure what's going on with that one. I think, I'm not sure what's going on with that one. I think we need Bitcoin to bounce in order for this thing to bounce as well. Fermi was up a little bit, 1.28. Google, Meta was down. Google was down. Amazon was down. Microsoft was down. Nvidia was actually up a little bit. Tesla was up as well. EOS was down, but New AI was up there. So that's the market in a nutshell, more or less what happened. Jobs report came out. We'll take a look at that here in a second. I do have some numbers and stats for you guys there. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it here. And let's take a look at where we are right now with Bitcoin here for February. We're down 14%. We're having a worse month than what we had in January. Not loving that. Hoping that we still get a nice recovery here. Time will tell, right? Or do we just continue to go down, into the 50s or something like that with Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks, months, whatever it might be? I don't know. Definitely would like to see a recovery, but it's up to the markets right now. Paper money, I think, or paper Bitcoin is being definitely a contributing factor there to that price performance. As far as the ETF inflows, outflows for Bitcoin here, we had nice inflows the last 3 days. Today, that trend broke, though, for us. We were currently down 202 million. I'm guessing with IBIT now reporting it's probably going to be even worse. We'll find that out tomorrow, but definitely outflows there. And then this here is obviously on the labor report that came out. This was actually generated by, Nano Banana from Gemini. Told it all the data, pulled the data. Actually, it was pretty easy. I just told it to do a, what did I tell it to do? Infographic on the jobs report. And I double checked the stuff here with the data that they provided, and it is actually accurate. So it's astounding what you can do with AI now. I mean, before this would have taken somebody, a good maybe half hour to an hour to do. all of this stuff here by hand, and I got this within like a minute, right? So I'm just completely blown away by what's possible by AI here. But here's what we got. So obviously the total non-farm payroll employment was up 130,000 jobs versus the 70,000 expected. Unemployment rate stayed at 4.3, down from, or actually went down a little bit from 4.4 in December. So that was actually a good sign for the for the jobs report, but it wasn't great for the markets because the markets were expecting things to go up on unemployment, which would then possibly yield us with, getting interest rate cuts happening here in the next meeting, at the Fed meeting. But that didn't play out there. So this is kind of what we got. Obviously, healthcare was a big contributor there. Social assistance as well, professional business services, construction, manufacturing even, and then financial activities was down, along with federal government was down also on that one. And then wage growth and participation here. So average hourly earnings went up 0.4% month over month, and then they're up 3.7% year over year. And then labor force participation rate was at 62.5%, a little unchanged there. And then that's basically it. That's what drove the market down here. Good jobs data drove the market down, unfortunately. So that's kind of where we are with it. All right, next here, some good news, or at least maybe some interesting news. Elon Musk, they had their town hall for XAI today, and during the presentation there, he spoke about X Money. So Elon Musk says, we have X Money live within closed beta in the company. In the next 1 to 2 months, we will have a limited extended external beta, and then go live to go to all X users. This is intended to be the place where all money is, the central source of all monetary transactions. That's their end goal. Will they get there to that point? I don't know, but it's interesting that they're talking about sometime this year, later on, it'll be available to all users, right? So Elon is trying to make X AI or X basically like WeChat from China, which is kind of like a everything app that they have there, which we don't have here in the United States. We'll see how well he can do that. I think it's a great thing, potentially, depending how easy it is to use and all that stuff, other things. But they are definitely working on all those things there, right? Grok Chat has definitely improved. They're working on, obviously, Grok Voice, Grok Recommendation and Ads, XChat as well, Grok Search, Grok Imagine. That's really good there. They talked about numbers. I think they're generating like 6 billion images a month, whereas their closest competitor, which I think is Nano Bananas, generating like 1 billion images. So they are definitely blowing them out of the water, it looks like. And I mean, you can see that in the speed itself. If you ever used Imagine from Grok, whether it's for video generation or for just image generation, it is much, much faster than the competitors are out there, right? You guys get to give you an image, and it gives you like 12 images within seconds, whereas within a banana it takes 20, 30 seconds, whatever it takes for that image to get generated. So they definitely have a lot of compute prowess here, it seems like, and they're still expanding that out. So I keep saying so a lot, but the big thing that's going to be coming up here, when and if XAI, now that's merged with SpaceX, when that goes public, that is going to be hot stock to get in at that point. Just with everything that Elon obviously is making. So that's kind of where I'm looking to put maybe some capital into that when that does go actually public here later on this year. Next here, love seeing this. This is from Anthropic. We're committing to cover electricity price increases for our data centers to ensure ratepayers aren't picking up the tab. We'll pay 100% of grid upgrade costs, work to bring new power online, and invest in systems to reduce grid strain. This is great to hear this. We saw this also from Microsoft as well. I love seeing this because obviously one of the hiccups or the roadblocks to some of these data centers being built out is customers complaining about, one, electricity prices going up, and two is them using up not all the water, but a lot of the water there. So if they can solve all those two issues, they will have a much better path going forward for building out these data centers if they want to. Obviously they need to, but it'll just give them probably an easier path going in that direction, which I love seeing this, right? I think this is the right way to go. Right, you should not have local customers that are buy your data centers to pay more for electricity because you want to put a data center there. That shouldn't be the case. Okay, next here. This is also interesting here for IREN. So JP Morgan just went all in on IREN. They added 688,024 shares, a 102% increase from what they had here, now holding 1.358 million shares. So this is from Black Panther Capital here. Let me make this crystal clear. JP Morgan doesn't accumulate like this on a whim. They bought above $40 after the 2025 run-up. Not the bottom, not a dip. They're buying at current prices because they've done the math on what's coming. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. The smart money is piling in, right? Goldman Sachs has increased their position as well, 233% position increase. Bank of New York Mellon, 113% increase. Capital Research, global investors loading. Franklin Resources accumulating, and Bit Capital also positioning. Institutions now control 44.78% of the shares outstanding. I think it's actually higher than that. We can take a look at that number for them. This isn't retail FOMO. This is institutional conviction. And why are they buying? Obviously, we know why they're buying, right? All the stuff that's happening here for them going forward. So this is great news to hear that institutions are buying, and we'll talk about actually what's happening here for all these guys here as far as institutions, whether they're buying or not. And then here we have also IREN. There's 433 million in potential inflows by being included in the MSCI USA index, effective February 27th per Goldman Sachs. This means that the ETFs and mutual funds that automatically track the MSCI index are now required to buy IREN shares to match the index's composition. Right? Goldman Sachs price target is 39. I think that's actually pretty low there. It should be much higher, but obviously we'll have some inflows and some volatility happening here in IREN stock later on this month, which will be good, right? Maybe they can drive the price up a little bit higher, especially when they get included into this index going forward. So that's great news for IREN there. All right. Next here, we have something on Bitcoin here. So crypto market bottom is closer than you think as Bitcoin miners' reserves crash to historic lows. So in the data here, miner reserves are sliding to levels we haven't seen since the early era. Miners currently hold about 1.8 million of Bitcoin, and that's obviously all the miners out there, right? Public, private, everything else. They might hold about 1.8 million. The companies that we track here might hold close to 90,000 or so, close to roughly that. So it's definitely not the majority there, but they do hold obviously that. And we've obviously seen some of these guys selling here. Riot's been selling off quite a bit there recently. Kango as well, right? So, several thousand there being sold off. Some of the other ones don't report it, so we really don't know where they're at. But you can see here, this is the blue line is the miner reserves. Right, it peaked in 2021 roughly at around 3.4 million, something like that, being in reserves, and it's been coming down here ever since then. And one, I think it's to do with they eventually have to use that to get new machines as we have the halving events. So that's kind of typical there. I think that happens from time to time. Also, just the rewards have come way down here. So that plays into it. Bitcoin price being up and down and all over the place here plays into it also. But overall, I think it's mostly being used. Obviously, you need to fund operations. You need to fund future growth as well. So you need to sell at certain points those Bitcoins. You're not going to be holding on to them forever, because otherwise, unless you got investors that are willing to just pile money in regardless of where things are at, which is not going to be the case, you need to sell eventually. So this is, I think, part of it there. But they're saying here over the last 60 days, they've shed, so the miners, roughly 6,300 Bitcoin, just over 100 Bitcoin per day on average. That is a steady leak, the kind you see when business is under pressure and treasury becomes working capital. Might be part of it also, with the price of Bitcoin coming down here. And then Bitcoin mining reserves continue to trend lower through 2024, 2026, even as price experiences sharp rallies and pullbacks, highlighting persistent balances sheets per pressure across the mining sector. I think it's also having to do with some of these guys going into AI as well. I think they're using that revenue from Bitcoin mining to then build out their AI data centers. But in dollar terms, this picture gets more dramatic. Miner reserves in USD are around 133 billion, down a little over 20% in about 2 months. Some of that is price, some of that is coins leaving miner wallets, and the combination is what matters because it tightens the margin of safety. If Bitcoin falls, if Bitcoin is falling while reserves are thinning, miners have less cushion to ride out volatility, and the market has one more source of potential supply if things get ugly, which is true. Okay, so something to be mindful of there. And next here we have some good news on Cipher. Cipher welcomes Thomas Duda to the company's board of directors. So today they announced the appointment of Thomas Duda to its board of directors. Mr. Duda has more than 20 years of real estate-focused investment experience, further strengthening the board as Cipher executes its pivot to becoming a world leader in data center development and operations. So what does Mr. Duda do currently or in the past? Well, currently he serves as vice president of real estate at Henry Crown and Company, where he leads the firm's real estate investment and asset management activities and is a member of the investment and management committee. Previously, he held senior roles at Hunt Companies, Inc., where he focused on commercial real estate and infrastructure investments, and at 1 William Street Capital Management as a managing director of investments. So he's got some good chops there. He's got some good experience, which is good. Right? He can help him find new sites and put him in that direction as well. So looks like a pretty good get there. So there's that for Cipher. No other news from the miners right now as it is. We're waiting on some of the miners still to report their quarterly results here. So we'll obviously take a look at that when they do report. Other than that, that's all we got here. We'll take a look at how the institutions, how are they buying the shares of these companies here recently on the 1 month time frame and on the 6 month time frame as well. And the first one we're going to take a look at here is the 1 month time frame, because this is kind of like what's happening right now, right? More or less within the last month, kind of current events, what's happening here. And we can see, we'll also take a look at the price performance of the stocks here over the last month. We can see a lot of them are down here except for TeraWulf. TeraWulf looks like it's only up 17% here, along with Core being up positive. Everybody else is in negative territory there over the last month. And then shares added here by institutions. Here we can see that we had an outflow for Riot. So institutions did sell out a little bit in Riot, 4.2 million there. Marathon, 3.3 million. Hut 8, 2.9, and Bitfarms down 1.3. Then they were buying into, looks like this last month, into Kango, about 1.5 million. BitDeer, 1.7. Hive, almost 2 million there. Cleanspark, 2.5 roughly. IREN, about 3.1. CORZ got a lot of buying there, 10 million shares. Cipher, 16 million shares as well. And TeraWulf, huge increase here for them, 36.5 million shares being added by institutions. Obviously, that's maybe why the stock has done actually pretty good here, right? Up being up 17% there. Percent owned by institutions, and this should be 1 month increase, I believe. Yeah, it should be 1 month increase. So we've had some outflows, some inflows. Let me double check to make sure this is correct here really quick. I was doing this today, but I want to make sure. Yeah, so it's for one month. I need to update that number there. That is pulling that in. So I split this up into 1 month and 6 month charts here. So that's that one there. Analyst high price target changes here. We got the high and lows also for this. So analyst high price changes from the month, so wherever it was the month prior to where it is now, we'll either see a positive or flat or a decrease. And we saw a decrease in high for the high price target, went down $1 from the analyst. BitDeer went down $3.50. Core actually went down $6, whereas we had TeraWulf go up $11 for the high side of things. Cipher went up $3. Everybody else was flat here. On the low end for the price targets, we had BitDeer go down 11 actually, which is kind of surprising there. Marathon also went down 3.25. Hive went down 3. Riot went down 2.38. Bitfarms went up 50 cents. Cipher went up $5, and Hut 8 went up $28 there on that side of things for the low end. Okay, so big increases in that. Let's see, this should be 1 month of institutions change on this chart. You can take a look at that one. How many more institutions got into them or got out of them in the past month. And then here we can see the analyst high price targets as well. IREN has a high price target of $136. That's the most there. Hut 8, $85, also really high compared to where they are right now. Going down here, analyst high price target difference from current stock valuation. So where the stock is and where it should go to the high end side of things, we would have a $93 increase in IREN value there. Hut 8, $30, Cipher, $32, BitDeer, $31, Riot, $27, Core, $21, Cleanspark, almost $20 there, Marathon, $22, TeraWulf, $9.37, Hive, $8.70, Bitfarms, $4.80, Kango, $3.70, and then analyst high price percentage difference from the current value. So Hive would actually have the most upside potential if it actually went up to where the analysts think the high side of the price target is, right, up 378%, followed by Kango, 330%, Marathon even up 291% from where it's at right now, BitDeer, 256, Bitfarms, 218, IREN, 216, Cleanspark, 200%, Cipher, 182%, Riot, 183, Core, 120, TeraWulf, 53, and Hut 8, 54%. So some of these guys might actually, if they do go up to those values, those high value size of things, this is kind of what you would expect to get as far as percentage gains, okay, on that. So it's kind of cool to take a look at that. Here's all the data below that. So that's the 1 month time frame. So we do have a lot of buying here by the institutions still. Some selling, but a lot of buying nonetheless, even though the price of these stocks have not done great in the last month. All right, looking at the 6 month time frame here, we can see that the price percent difference from 6 months ago is much different from what we just saw here, obviously this last month for the month over month. But we have Obviously, IREN still being up quite nicely here. Hut 8 being up nicely. Cipher as well. Bitfarms, even TeraWolf, right? Over the last 6 months, a lot of these guys are still doing pretty good there. We do have some that are down. Kango, Hive, BitDeer, and Marathon being down quite a bit. And then you can see the number of shares added here. So over the last 6 months, we've had huge increases in a lot of these guys here. 122 million shares being bought up by institutions for CORZ Scientific, 116 for TeraWolf, 101 for Bitfarms, it looks like there, 92 for Marathon, 82 million for Cipher, 73 million for Riot, 37 for Cleanspark. No, sorry, that's Cleanspark, yeah. Then we got BitDeer here, 19.5, Hut 8, 17.2 million, IREN, 11.9, and Hive, 11.4, and Kango 6.6 million there. All right. Percent of institutions owned by 6-month increase here. CORZ Scientific had the biggest increase, 39% there, followed by TeraWolf, Marathon, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Hut 8, Riot, Cipher, BitDeer, Hive, and then Kango. IREN actually being down. And then analysts high price targets down here. This is the same thing. We pretty much, well, we're looking at the 6 months difference here. Where it was it 6 months ago to where it is now. And on the high side of things here, this should be the low side of things. I need to update this. Low dollar change. Excuse me. We can see from 6 months ago, the price targets for Marathon has actually come down $9 in total. Kango's down $4.04. Hive is down at just $1. Everybody else is still up here, with IREN having the highest increase there of $110. Hut 8, 52. Cipher 42. Riot at 17. Probably, I don't know if that's going to help anything. It's still going to be, yeah, I just need to do the maximums on here to get this evened out. Let me see if we can fix that really quick. Format axis, 20, let's do 150 for the high end side of things. Okay, there we go. Now that looks a little bit better of a chart. So that's how that all plays out there. As far as institutions change here, how many got into it? We have pretty much positive additions to institutions buying into them over the last 6 months here. And then on the low side of things here, Marathon's down $8. So the price target, they've lowered the price target on the low side of things by $8 for them. Kango's down $5.04, BitDeer's down $3, Hive is down $1.50, Cleanspark's down $1. And then we have Bitfarms being up $1, Core being up $2, Riot being up $2.62, TeraWolf being up $7.50, Cipher $12, IREN $23, and Hut 8 up 32, and I will put this at 50 for this one. There we go. So that looks a little bit better as well. Okay. Obviously covered already the analysts' high price targets for these guys here, how much of an increase that would be, and then also the percentage gain for these guys if they actually went up that high in time, right? We don't know when that's going to happen here, but more or less, that's kind of where we would be at. So the interesting tidbit is institutions are still buying in. Retail might be selling out here recently, at least, but institutions are still definitely buying into these guys here, and they're stacking on top of what they already have, a lot of these guys. So institutions know probably what's coming down the pipe here more than we do. We may not have all the information. Some of the institutions and analyst firms and all that stuff probably have a little bit more insight as far as what's going on with the companies directly, which we don't have. So we can always take a look at what's going on here, right? Which companies are being bought up by institutions. We can see that. We track it. We look at it every month just to see how they're progressing as well. All right, so that's it. I'll make this available to you guys as well. I didn't get an update for the Patreon members here today. I was extremely busy. I do apologize for that. I will get this out to you guys tomorrow, which will cover the short data for the miners, along with all of these institutions buying for the 1 month and 6 month time differences as well. So that'll be coming out tomorrow. So it'll be a nice little update there. And then I'm also looking to add more companies into the mix here. Probably, I think we can possibly add some more companies to this, some data, or at least some charts or some metrics. I'm looking to add probably like Nibius. I'm also looking to add other companies as well into these charts here, into these, into our data, just to see how they're doing as well, how they're progressing, what their revenues are like, everything else. I want to combine it all because we're getting more and more into AI in this space and data centers and things like that. All right, so that'll be coming down in the next week or so, somewhere around there. We'll add a couple more companies as time progresses, and I have time to actually put the data in, because I'll go back probably 2 years of data for the revenues and things like that when we look at their 10Qs and 10Ks as well. So that'll be coming down the pipe here. All right, that's it. Let's get into Q&A. So what you guys have to say on today's events, if anything at all. If you guys are happy with what's going on or anything else. Okay, as always, I'm going to scroll up and work my way down here. Let's see, what do we got here? Neil says to the moon. I hope so. Tom Lee says V-shaped recovery. Okay, I'd love to see that for sure. Well, obviously, have to wait until it does happen. SK says Bitfarms has been disappointing. Better to sell and buy Cipher. If you don't own Cipher already, I would say have some Cipher shares as well. Do you sell Bitfarms now? I mean, Bitfarms. I like Bitfarms. I have Bitfarms. I bought some more Bitfarms last Friday. So, I mean, tough. Not financial advice, as always, right? But Cipher has more megawatts that are going to be built out potentially this year and next year. Bitfarms, you got the, was it 1830 megawatt site in Washington State that's being built out this year. And they're working on their sites in Pennsylvania, Panther Creek, and Scrubgrass, possibly into 2027 there, I think. Things may change on that if they get somebody that's interested in those sites or something like that faster. Things can change, but right now it's kind of the timeframes that we're looking at. So a much smaller site to start with, and then we might see some more growth happening into Bitfarms in a little bit longer time frame. So I'm holding on to what I have. Bought the dip, obviously, with what happened over the last couple of weeks. Prices were going down. I saw it as just a good opportunity to probably add a little bit more to it. I love the transition that they're doing and going into more in the United States, right? I can't speak. Redomiciling in the United States. I love that. And yeah, I think they're going in the right direction. But you got to do what's right for you. Drago says Nibius earnings in the morning. Yeah, that's kind of why I want to add them in as well here to these guys so we can track to see how they're doing and cover them to see what kind of deals they're getting, things like that. I want to cover them a little bit more along with others. All right, John, will Riot stock price more likely be $30 or $10 in the next few months? Oh my gosh. Not easy thing to figure out or foresee going forward. If Bitcoin continues to slide down, markets continue to slide down potentially because of, well, we're not going to be getting the liquidity because of interest rates not coming down. We could see them slide down more. But if things reverse and we actually do well, we could go back up, to the 30s potentially for them. Or if they get another deal for somebody for some more megawatts there, that could also pump the stock at that point. Hard to tell right now. The long run, I think, is going to go up. Short term, we could be in volatility. We could go down. We could go up. We could go sideways. We don't know. All right. SK, what price is good? Start position in Bitcoin. I would say if you haven't gotten a position in Bitcoin, I tell pretty much all my friends and family right now is just to kind of, set up an automatic buy system. Basically, where you buy like $50 worth every 2 weeks or every week, whatever. Just keep buying it. Right, for the longer time frame. I think that's the best way to go. Dollar cost average in on it, whether it's going up or down. You're going to do, I think, very, very well going forward. Not financial advice, but that's kind of would be my plan. If you didn't get into it back in 2017 or like 2013 cycles, and you get your positions that you wanted to have at that point, I would say dollar cost average into it right now. John's question is, do you believe Bitcoin is going parabolic soon? Please look at the graph approximately from 922 to 1022. When Bitcoin off from 15 to 71, then we have the same graph. Yeah, I saw that somebody else posted that graph as well. I think we talked about it last week where it looks like it lines up where we could go parabolic. If it plays out that way, that would be great. I would absolutely love that. I'm sure all of you would love it as well. But I don't know if it's going to play out that way. It's been a completely different cycle up to this point completely, right? Things have just not played out anywhere near what we have seen in prior cycles. But yeah, we'll see. John says, so possibly soon we see 150,000, 200,000 Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does, LFG. Let's freaking go. Yep. Let's see, John Kurtz, many on Yahoo Finance see this happening. I would love it. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I'd love it if it happened. And that would reinstate my thoughts as far as having an extended cycle here with it if it does happen. So that would be great. All right. Morten, what do you think of JP Morgan giving IREN a price target of 39 to drive down the stock? And then we learned this week that they doubled their shares. Yeah, that's basically JP Morgan. They will rip something down, right, with their price targets in order for them to accumulate. Then they'll come out later on Based on our recent evaluations or our recent review of the company, we see this company going to $90 or something like that once they have the positions that they want. So I don't really trust what they have to say. We have others that obviously have a much higher price target for them, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is with. I can't speak. It is what it is with them. Rob, how you doing? No apologies for being late. Fell asleep. I'd be probably sleeping too if I wasn't doing this. Daryl, question: with IREN now being added to the MSCI index, would you sell your Cleanspark and BitDeer shares to buy more IREN? No, I would not. That's me though. The reason I say that is because I have IREN at such a low average price that for me right now it doesn't make much sense. So if you believe that IREN will do at least a 2x from here or 3x, right? Because that would get us to about $120, $130, something around there. If you believe that it can do that, can other companies also do that and maybe plus more than that? So the way I look at it is if I put in $1,000 into it right now, if I get a 2 or 3x, I'm making $2,000, $3,000 on that $1,000. That's great because if you look at the market gives you what, 15, 20% on average during the year. So if you can still double your money or triple your money, that is huge, obviously. But it's not, it'd be one thing if I put in $1 million and I get 2 million out of it, so I have 3 million, that'd be one thing. But if, the amounts I'm talking about here for myself would be like a couple $100 to a couple $1,000. It's not going to be life-changing for me there. So I've been positioning some of that into companies that I think are maybe more beaten down, that might do a better than the 2 or 3x potential going forward here. That's the way I look at it. Now, as I said, definition of advice, you got to do what's right for you. But it will be nice, obviously, if IREN can have a nice little rocket here going forward. We'll see. I think Cleanspark's still way undervalued. They get a deal or something like that later on this year, that stock could definitely get re-rated. We could see that thing going up easily 3x from where it's at right now. BitDeer, they're executing fantastically with their Bitcoin mining side of things. They're getting to AI. We did have a little hiccup with them on their site in Clarendon, Ohio, where they're basically in a lawsuit, or their neighbors suing them in a legal dispute, I guess. Don't know how long that's going to drag out, and could that drag out when they can actually build out that site there for AI? Because that's I think it's like 570 megawatts total, which is a big site for them. So that's a little concerning for me there. Other than that, they've been doing really, really well. Obviously, we'd love to see some kind of a closure to that dispute there with their neighbor. Rob, did you see the Ethereum video I sent you? I did not, sorry. Today was a busy day. I didn't get it. I'll do it after the show. I'll take a look at it. Rob says, Seb, I forgot, but what is the timeline on the ticker symbol change for Bitfarms to Keel? I think they're targeting it still this current quarter, I think. That's what I believe. Carl says, I hope Bitfarms doesn't keel over. I've seen that before. I've seen others comment that as well, that, they hope that Bitfarms doesn't keel over. Sarah says, Seb, did you see that Matt at Cleanspark said they are in the late stage of negotiations with the hyperscalers? I saw that, yeah. I probably should have pulled up the video. Last time I pulled up a video, I think it was IREN's video. I got a strike on me for copyright usage because there was background music on it. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant to do any kind of videos now on that. But yeah, I saw that. So that's awesome news there for Cleanspark as well. Ron Hayes said, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Can you please explain what the liquidation events, why they're increasingly common and how it can be good for good for Bitcoin? I don't know if it can be good for liquidation events. But basically the way I understand it is we have a lot more paper Bitcoin out there than we've had before. Right? Before we didn't have the ETFs. We didn't have the futures contracts as well on the CME. We didn't have, what else do we have there? All this added stuff that's been added on here, right? So my understanding is based on the addition of the ETFs, on the futures contracts as well, there was something else that was added on to it. I'm trying to blank on it right now. But there were a couple of things that were added on top of Bitcoin right now, which give you basically paper Bitcoin. So you have those liquidation events where the paper can move the stock faster than the actual stock itself, or the value of the Bitcoin there, right? Because if you have one Bitcoin, you could have a futures on it. You could have also an ETF on that as well. So you have this kind of leverage play on it happening, is my understanding on it. And then when people get too greedy, they go long. You get the shorts going into them and beating them down. So you get the liquidation events happening at that point. We've kind of seen that obviously play out here recently here, with Bitcoin being at 120 some odd thousand, going down to 60,000 at the bottom here, at least current bottom. We don't know if that's the actual bottom or not, but that's kind of what we've seen here play out, which is more than I thought it was going to be. I thought we would be somewhere between maybe 35% and a 40% drawdown on Bitcoin, which would be in line with what we have seen in the past here in the last 2 years, where Bitcoin has drawn down to those levels and bounced off of that. But this current liquidation event obviously was much higher in a decrease than we've seen in the past, which I'm hoping it bounces from there, but we'll see. All right. Sarah says Cleanspark will have a big deal within 90 days. They might, even if it takes 180 days. I'm not too concerned about that. I just want to position myself in the companies that I think are going to be growing here. Cleanspark is definitely one of them. Cipher for sure. IREN as well. And then Bitfarms is maybe a little bit longer term play, right? Where it might take a year to 2 years maybe with that one to do really well. But if other companies get deals and they get at least a small deal here, I think that would help them out and get re-rated as well. And then any kind of progress on the Pennsylvania sites would be huge news for them also. Michael says, while no one can predict the future, some financial analysts, notably Mike McGlone from Bloomberg Intelligence, have issued strong warnings that Bitcoin could crash to 10th. That I don't see. I don't think we're going to be going lower than the prior cycle low, which was, what was it, 15,000, 15,500? I don't think we're going to be going that low. I mean, if Bitcoin crashes to 10,000, that's basically Armageddon at that point, I think. It would be down more than 90%, I believe, from the highs. If we go down to 10, somewhere around. Yeah, that would not be good. I don't see that happening. I could see possibly if we have a similar cycle like the past, we could go down to like 50s, 40s, right? Somewhere around there. I could see that possibly playing out. But not, I don't think further beyond that. All right, I think that's it. We got a couple more coming in from Sauer here. Sauer says, Sailor was a disaster on CNBC. I did not see that. What the heck how was he a disaster? I'm going to have to take a look at that. And Rob, I'll take a look at your video as well. On Ethereum, I'll take a look at that. So we got Daryl, one more comment coming in here, and we'll call it a day. Come on, load. There it is. All right, Daryl's got a question. If Bitcoin keeps going lower over the next few months, would it not be wise to put your money into miners that will have the fastest pivot energizing their pipeline, such as IREN? Yeah, I would agree with you there, right? If you think that IREN and like Cipher have the fastest pivots, those might be the best ones there. But we've already seen the miners have not really been that closely correlated to Bitcoin price action here. If you look at just the recent price action on these guys just last year, how they performed compared to Bitcoin, how they performed like the last 6 months as well. Even in the beginning of the year here, from the beginning of the year to where they are right now, they're still doing better than Bitcoin. So I think they're decoupling more and more as time progresses, and as they're getting more deals and things like that. That's just my thoughts on it. Rob asks, Seb, how do you find out the true value of Bitcoin versus? I have no idea on that one. To be honest with you, I don't know if anybody knows. Michael, some man on CNBC was saying that Bitcoin could fall to 38,000 last week. 38,000. That might be a possibility. Might have a wick down to that and then bounce from there. Right? I'm saying like that would be roughly an 80% correction from where we were. That's what we've seen in the past cycles. That could be a possibility if we have a similar cycle. I don't know if that's still the case here, but we'll see. Rob says, thanks, Seb. You might want to broadcast that Ethereum video. Okay, I'll take a look at it. If it's appropriate, we'll broadcast it tomorrow. All right. John asks, what price would you buy Cleanspark? I bought it last week under $10 when it dipped, right? So that's kind of where I was buying it. I've been buying it at other prices as well. I was buying it at $9 back in 2022, all the way down to $1 something in, what was the bottom of 2022 as well. Somewhere around there was $1 or something at one point. I was buying at those prices, and I was buying up while it was going up. That's kind of where I've been buying it, though. Right now, it's at what, like $10, $11, whatever it's at right now. I don't even know where it's at. Probably should know, but I don't. There's just too many things. It's under $10. Yeah, what is it at? 962 right now. Yeah, so not too far off from where I was buying it last week. Right around this time, I was buying Friday, yeah. All right, Rod's got a question. What would make you change your outlook on Bitcoin? Be bearish. What would make me change my mind on it? My outlook. Well, obviously, if we fall, I think if we fall below 60,000 and stay there and go down to like 50,000 range, somewhere on there, and continue to fall, that would obviously be a similar pattern that we've seen in the prior cycles. I thought this 4-year cycle would be dead this time around with all that we've saw with the ETFs, the futures as well, right? Banks are getting into it, institutions are getting into it. I thought that was going to be enough of a catalyst to change it going forward. I still think that's the case here, but that's if we hold above 60,000. If we hold above 60,000, that still might be the case, but if we fall, then that's off the table at that point. And I was wrong in my thinking. But yeah, that's kind of what I would be looking at. Bear case wise would be the Clarity Act, right, doesn't get passed. I think that might be bad. Obviously, if we continue to not have rate cuts, that might be also bad for Bitcoin there. Trying to think what else. Those are like the two main things I can think of right now. Sailors selling Bitcoin or something like that. I think that would be a bad thing for it as well. That's it. All right, what else we got here? I think that's it. All right, that is it. Caught up to all your lovely questions and comments here. We will see what happens tomorrow. Love you all for coming in as always. I wish you guys a great night or a great day, or depending where you are. Definitely love to see you guys tomorrow as well. And we'll talk about whatever happens tomorrow and anything else I can pull in as far as data is concerned. All right, until then, have a great night. Bye.